let's say it all goes chalk, that everybody picks in the spot where it'll be Detroit picking, and they go with the guy that every mock draft has essentially had going to them since the minute the season ended, and then Darius Slay gets traded, so everybody slots Okudah in there. And then fourth overall, you got the Giants. They take either maybe Simmons, Brown, or they get a protector for Daniel Jones. None of them, the reason why I'm mentioning this, are named Tua or Herbert. Dolphins go 5.
Right.
What do you got for me 48 hours from the draft, Albert?
All right, so the Dolphins, to me, are a pressure point there where you hear some stuff that they could take a tackle and maybe come back and get Jordan Love later.
Wow, that would be something.
I think it's been a point of discussion in their organization. I think the idea of even waiting another year has come up. The problem with that is you've got to be bad again, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a tough pill to swallow if you've already done it once. Where, like, if you're saying, okay, we're going to wait till 2021. Well, you're going to have to be the worst team in the league to get Trevor Lawrence, because I don't think anybody's going to be trading out of 1 next year.
Correct.
And, you're probably going to have to be bad to get any of the quarterbacks at the top of the draft. And so I have a hard time swallowing the Dolphins just completely passing on the position. And I think if they do stick, I think they would take Justin Herbert over Tua. I can't find anybody who thinks they're taking Tua. But I have heard that little kind of nugget there that maybe they take a tackle and think that they can get Jordan Love later on. So definitely some moving pieces with them at 5, and then, of course, at 6 with the Chargers, who I think would be in play for Tua. I think would be in play for Herbert, and, again, another team that you look at and say maybe they take a tackle at 6. So there's a lot of smoke out there on both those teams, but those two are certainly sort of the pressure points for the quarterback position.
Let me make sure I heard that correctly. You, Albert Breer, Sports Illustrated Albert Breer, MMQB Albert Breer, have not spoken to a soul in the last 24 or 48 hours, what have you. You didn't add that time frame. I'm throwing that out there. You haven't spoken to anybody who thinks the Dolphins are taking Tua at 5 if there's a choice between Tua and Herbert. Is that correct?
And you know what the beauty of it is, Rich? Maybe that means they are taking him. But I can just tell you, I mean, I've talked to people who know people who've gone through that building. I cannot find anyone who thinks they're taking Tua. And again, this might be the world's biggest smokescreen, and maybe it's Chris Greer's intention to get that out there so they don't have to trade up. But I'm just telling you, I've everything that I've heard as far as them at quarterback is pointed away from Tua Tagovailoa. And the one nugget I can give you here that's sort of interesting, I've heard that Justin Herbert has a fan in that organization. You know who that is?
Stephen Ross?
Dan Marino.
Oh, I've heard of him. Okay. Well, it's better than Laces Out Ray Finkel. What about Marino? Walk me through that one.
Well, I mean, he's done, he's sort of tangentially involved in everything else. And so,
sure.
He was part of he'd sort of jumped into the process and had done some work at the Senior Bowl. And obviously Herbert had a really strong Senior Bowl week. And so I've heard that he likes Herbert. So that's sort of an interesting nugget there. I think, part of it for the Dolphins, of course, is, sort of looking at their 3 first-round picks and knowing the reality is that Joe Burrow's not an option for them, right? So you look at the picture of it, and, I think part of it is they know they have to fill their tackle need, and how do you view Tua's medicals, and then how do you view Jordan Love versus Justin Herbert? It's interesting the way all of those pieces have moved, but I have not talked to anybody who thinks the Dolphins are taking Tua. Again, that might mean they're taking him. We'll see.
Wow. Chris Brockman, could you imagine if that happens on Thursday night? Could you imagine?
How fast do the Chargers get their pick in?
What do you think? Is that a proper supposition that the Chargers would be all over Tua on the spot?
I would just say this: Tom Telesco's as good as anybody at keeping his cards close to the vest, and I have a harder time pegging them. It's just with them, you hear they like Tua. The medical is a point of discussion. Herbert is obviously could be in play, and they might have to make a decision on him. And I've also heard that they'd like to fill their tackle need. But I mean, the one thing to remember, my mock's going to go up, I think, later today. Have them taking Tua. One thing that's sort of interesting is that they pick high in the second round too, and so the Chargers could actually move back into the bottom of the first round if they wanted to go and take care of the tackle need there. And so, I mean, it's fascinating, Rich, because the closer we get to the draft, you start to hear more of this, buzz around both those teams picking at 5 and 6. They really want to take care of their tackle need, and it's hard to decipher what's smoke and what isn't. But I think it's certainly, you look at the makeup of the class and sort of how you can poke holes in every quarterback who's not named Joe Burrow, and we're going to have a lot of intrigue on Thursday night.
Yeah, I bet. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.